There's a moment in every interaction, a fleeting instant when the world tests you. Someone provokes you, questions your motives, or pushes a button you didn't even know was there. And in that split second, you do whm'kol that feels natural. What society has drilled into you since childhood. You react. You let your face flush with anger, your voice rise in frustration, or your eyes betray a flicker of hurt. You wear your emotions like a badge of authenticity, believing that honesty builds trust, that vulnerability fosters connection. After all, that's the conventional wisdom. Be open, be real, show your true self. It's the mantra of self-help gurus and relationship coaches. Emotional transparency is strength. But let's be brutally honest with yourself right now. How often has that approach backfired? You've seen it in your own life. The heated argument where your outburst hands the other person ammunition, making you look unstable and weak. The negotiation where your visible excitement tips your hand, allowing them to lowball you. The social gathering where your irritation leaks out, turning allies into skeptics. You become predictable, a book left open on the table for anyone to read and just exposing your feelings. You're surrendering control. In a world of hidden agendas and power plays, this emotional openness isn't a virtue, it's a liability. It invites predators to strike, turns neutral encounters into defeats, and leaves you wondering why people always seem one step ahead. You think you're being genuine, but really you're just being readable. And readability is the silent killer of influence. Machiavelli would have smirked at this modern delusion. To him, emotional transparency isn't strength, it's suicide. The brutal law he understood, etched into the annals of power, is this: the moment you become readable, you become controllable. Your emotions aren't tools for connection, they're weapons others wield against you. Conventional wisdom preaches that hiding feelings makes you cold or inauthentic, but that's a comforting lie for the weak. In reality, it's the opposite. Mastering emotional control to become unreadable is the ultimate act of strategic dominance. Why? Because humans are wired to probe, to predict, to exploit vulnerabilities. When you react visibly, you confirm their assumptions, hand them the narrative, and invite them to manipulate you. But when you're unreadable, a blank slate, a void, they falter. Doubt creeps in. They question themselves, not you. This isn't about suppressing emotions for morality's sake. It's about weaponizing mystery to flip the power dynamic. Machiavelli knew that princes who wore their hearts on their sleeves ended up dethroned. The unreadable ones, they orchestrated empires. If perception is the battlefield, readability is defeat. Unreadability is conquest. So what's the foundational principle to shatter this cycle? It's simple yet profound. Cultivate the mask of indifference. This isn't faking emotions, it's controlling their display with surgical precision. Start by internalizing this. Your face, your voice, your body are not billboards for your inner world. They're instruments of strategy. When provocation hits, pause, breathe. Let the emotion rise internally, but project nothing outward. No furrowed brow, no clenched jaw, no defensive posture, just calm, impenetrable stillness. The immediate psychological impact on others is electric. Humans crave reactions. It's how they gauge power, test boundaries, and feel in control. Deny them that, and you create a vacuum. They fill it with their own insecurities. Did I offend them? Are they plotting? Why aren't they reacting? This shifts the dynamic instantly. You're no longer the reactant, you're the enigma. They overthink, overcompensate, reveal their hand. In that moment, power flows to you, not through force, but through absence. This is Machiavellian judo. Use their expectation of your emotion as leverage to unbalance them. It's not emotional weakness, it's calculated restraint. Master this, and you begin to see how unreadability isn't just defense, it's offense, turning every interaction into your arena. Now, let's delve deeper into why this Machiavellian approach trumps the emotional openness peddled as wisdom. At its core, Human behavior is driven by a primal need for predictability. We evolved in tribes where reading faces meant survival, spotting deceit, gauging threats. But in modern power games, this instinct backfires for the readable. When you display emotions, you're broadcasting your motivations. Anger signals weakness. Joy reveals attachments. Fear exposes leverage points. Others don't just see you, they map you, predicting your moves like a chess player spotting a novice's tells. The strategic superiority of unreadability lies in exploiting this. Psychologically, uncertainty is a toxin to the human mind. When you're unreadable, you force others into cognitive dissonance. They can't categorize you, so their brain scrambles for patterns that aren't there. This drains their mental energy, erodes their confidence, and makes them reactive. Machiavelli grasped this in The Prince. The fox avoids traps by being sly, not by announcing its cunning. Common misconceptions trap most people here. Hey, think emotional control means numbness, but that's emotional weakness disguised as strength. True mastery is feeling deeply but choosing when and if to reveal. Another trap, the desire for validation. You react because you want to be understood, to correct the record, but that's a fool's errand. Understanding is for equals, control is for victors. Clarity feeds their narrative, mystery starves it. Adopt this, and you trade fleeting emotional relief for lasting strategic edge. It's uncomfortable because it challenges the ego's need to be seen, but power demands sacrifice. Let's apply this to everyday scenarios, starting with the foundational ones to build your toolkit. First, imagine a casual social gathering. A friend makes a snide remark about your recent career setback, probing for a reaction. Conventionally, you'd defend yourself, explain the circumstances, show frustration. But that's blood in the water. Instead, deploy the mask of indifference, meet their eyes with a neutral gaze, nod slightly, and change the subject without a hint of defensiveness. Interesting point, you say calmly, then pivot. The shift. They expected drama. You gave them void. Doubt sets in. They wonder if you're unaffected or hiding something lethal. Power tilts to you. The conversation bends to your will. Second, in a workplace disagreement, your colleague criticizes your idea in a meeting, aiming to rattle you. The average response? Visible annoyance, a sharp retort. But you pause, maintain composed posture, and respond with measured words. Noted. No more. Psychologically, this unhinges them. They anticipated pushback, a crack in your armor. Your unreadability makes them question their attack, often leading them to over-explain or backpedal. The observable shift. Respect accrues to you as the unflappable one, while they appear petty. Third, a family dinner where a relative passive-aggressively questions your life choices. Conventional trap, emotional outburst, justifying yourself. Machiavellian tactic. The subtle redirect. Smile faintly, enough to intrigue, not enough to reveal, and say, everyone has their path. Then steer elsewhere. The impact. They probe harder, revealing their insecurities, while you remain the enigma, controlling the narrative without a single emotional leak. These foundational tactics, mask of indifference, neutral acknowledgement, subtle redirect, create immediate power shifts by denying the expected reaction, forcing others to fill the silence with their own vulnerabilities. Now we escalate to the colder elite moves, the ones that separate the strategically adept from the merely controlled. These build on unreadability, turning it into a weapon of psychological warfare. First, the inversion mirror. When emotions are provoked, don't just stay blank. Reflect their probe back subtly. If someone accuses you of being distant, respond with a calm, "Is that how it seems to you?" This isn't defense, it's a judo throw, making them confront their own perception. Psychologically, it exploits projection. Humans accuse others of what they fear in themselves. By mirroring, you destabilize them, forcing self-doubt. They unravel, you remain untouched. Second, the deliberate ambiguity. Introduce a hint of mystery without commitment. In a tense negotiation when they push for your stance, offer a vague, possibilities abound, with an unreadable expression. Why so effective? Ambiguity triggers the Zeigarnik effect, the brain's obsession with unresolved tension. They fixate on decoding you, draining their focus while you observe and maneuver. This is Machiavellian poison, slow-acting, lethal to their clarity. Third, the coldest, strategic absence. When readability is demanded, say in a confrontati, on don't engage at all. Excuse yourself calmly, leaving them in limbo. The mechanism? Humans hate unresolved loops. Your absence amplifies their anxiety, often leading them to concede or reveal more. These moves are morally ambiguous because they exploit vulnerabilities without mercy. But remember, in power dynamics, mercy is a luxury for the weak. They work by leveraging inherent human needs for closure and certainty, turning your unreadability into an offensive fortress. Now, let's broaden this to high-stakes contexts, where unreadability yields long-term advantages over conventional reactions. In business meetings, unreadability is a scalpel. Suppose a rival undermines your proposal, expecting visible frustration to discredit you. Conventionally, you'd counter emotionally, escalating conflict, but the Machiavellian operator deploys inversion. Your perspective is valuable. Care to elaborate? Delivered with blank poise. The outcome? They overextend, exposing flaws in their argument while you gather intel. Long term, you build an aura of unflappable authority, commanding promotions and alliances effortlessly. Perception shifts from reactive to strategic mastermind. In romantic relationships, this is even more potent and dangerous. Your partner accuses you of emotional unavailability, baiting a defensive outburst. The standard path: spill your feelings, seeking reassurance. But that's handing them the reins. Instead, use deliberate ambiguity. Emotions run deep, actions speak. Maintain unreadable calm. Psychologically, this exploits attachment anxiety. They chase clarity, revealing their needs, while you retain control. Over time, it fosters respect, not resentment. They perceive you as a rock, not a reed. The advantage? Balanced power, where mystery keeps attraction alive, preventing complacency. Online interactions demand nuance. Trolls thrive on reactions. A provocative comment attacks your views, aiming to draw blood. Conventional folly, heated reply, feeding the algorithm and their ego. Machiavellian application, respond with strategic absence or a single ambiguous emoji. The shift, they spiral into frustration, often deleting or escalating foolishly, while your unreadability preserves your digital fortress. Long term, you cultivate an online presence of enigmatic power, attracting followers who sense untouchable wisdom, not vulnerability. In each, unreadability provides superior outcomes: sustained influence, minimized losses, and compounded respect. Conventional emotional displays erode power. This builds it like a compounding interest. Of course, objections arise. Your mind might whisper, "Won't this make me seem cold or manipulative?" Let's reframe strategically. Unreadability isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation in a world that exploits openness. Likability is a trap for the masses. True power commands respect through mystery, not affection. If they label you cold, that's their perception. Use it as leverage, not a wound. Manipulation. Every interaction is influence. The question is, who controls it? This isn't deceit, it's discretion, aligning with Machiavelli's fox-like cunning. Common pitfalls: overdoing the mask, appearing robotic instead of enigmatic. Avoid by practicing micro-expressions, a subtle tilt, not total blankness, to intrigue without revealing. Another, internalizing emotions poorly, leading to later explosions. Counter with private outlets. Journal, meditate, but never let them surface publicly. Misapplying in low-stakes scenarios risks alienating allies. Reserve elite moves for power plays. The biggest mistake: confusing unreadability with suppression. Feel everything, show nothing strategically. Sidestep these, and you transform discomfort. What into dominance? Let's solidify the core Machiavellian law. Unreadability is the art of emotional mastery, where control isn't suppression, but strategic concealment. The brutal truth, reiterated: in the game of perception, the readable are pawns, the unreadable are kings. Machiavelli's paradox cuts deep. The more you reveal your emotions to seem authentic, the more fabricated your power appears. True authenticity. It's internal, a fortress no one storms. Conventional wisdom says openness builds bonds. The uncomfortable reality is it builds chains. Embrace this paradox. Mystery isn't hiding. It's harnessing the void to orchestrate outcomes. Power flows not to the expressive, but to the enigmatic. Imagine the transformation. You, once a predictable reactor, now an untouchable force. Consistently applying these principles, mask of indifference, inversion mirrors, deliberate ambiguity, you radiate an aura of effortless power. No longer do provocations pierce you. They bounce off like arrows on stone. People sense it. The subtle shift in rooms you enter, the deference in negotiations, the intrigue in relationships. You're not brute force. You're strategic design, controlling perceptions without a word. Long-term, this becomes second nature. Respect accrues automatically, opportunities multiply, manipulations falter against your void. You command not through volume, but through silence's weight. This is the pinnacle. Power so composed, so unassailable, that others orbit you, drawn to the mystery. It's not effortless at first, but through disciplined practice, it evolves into an internal shift, where emotional control births true self-mastery. As you internalize this art, remember, unreadability is a journey, not a switch. Start small. Practice in mirrors, test in low-stakes encounters, and build toward mastery. Each application deepens your edge, revealing layers of human dynamics yet unexplored. The path ahead holds more: advanced orchestrations of mystery, defenses against master readers, the fusion of unreadability with other Machiavellian arts. Return to these principles often. They are your arsenal in a world of folly. Machiavelli didn't seek approval. He sought dominion. Neither should you. In the end, the unreadable don't just survive, they reign. Their emotional control the silent throne from which they survey the chaos. Master this, and the world bends not to your reactions, but to your enigma.